Hello, welcome to something I've never done before. This is going to be my January reading wrap up. I haven't done that yet, but I also need to bake my son's birthday cake for his party tomorrow. I did have something sorted, but then our freezer was left open overnight, so the 2 mug cakes that I had isn't going to cut it. So I am going to try and make some cupcakes, and I'm going to try and do a pull apart cake and a teddy bear because he is having a teddy bear's picnic birthday party. So I also need to talk about my books. So I'm going to try and combine them and multitask. So welcome to this Bake With Me reading wrap up. I don't know if this is even going to work out. I'm going to be using the first recipe that shows up when I Google vanilla cupcakes on Google, which is the Recipe 10 Eats one. Let's see how we go. Okay, I couldn't even find cupcake liners, but now I have found 11, so let's hope that that works out. Let's talk about the first book that I finished for the year, and that was actually Fated Throne by the Twisted Sisters. It's Zodiac Academy book 6. I read probably the last maybe 300 pages, I think, of it on the 1st of January, driving back from Shani's place in New South Wales. So Shani and Books, I'll link her down below. And that's probably, I think that's like an 8 or 12 hour drive. I really enjoyed that one. It was, along with how intense it was, because something happened in the end of Zodiac Academy 5. So Zodiac Academy 6 was really about trying to help that one person come back, and it was very high stakes, but they did intertwine a lot of nice, cute, what do you call it, of the day stuff, and where the heirs and the sisters where they're just hanging out. And I really enjoyed the Darcy and Seth moments that happened in this one. It was really nice. I wasn't the biggest fan of Lance in this book. By the end of it, I did enjoy it. Okay, so first of all, we need to whisk the dry ingredients together. So flour, baking powder, and salt in a large bowl. We need 150 grams of plain flour. So I think I gave this one actually 5 stars because it was very, I loved both parts of it. All right, I then read, oh that's right, I listened to Brave by Rose McGowan. This was my non-fiction of the month. So this is Rose McGowan's memoir. I knew her from Charmed. She's Paige, the 4th sister. She also was in the first Scream movie as Tatum. I didn't really want to rate this one because it's weird rating non-fiction and people's lives. It did talk about a lot of what she experienced as a young girl, as well as coming into Hollywood, and how she was assaulted by, they never named names, but I'm pretty sure she's talking about Harvey Weinstein. Reading that was a big eye-opener because I didn't really go too much into it because of being in Australia, and I'm I don't know what's happening there. So yeah, but if I would rate it, I'd probably give it 5 stars. I then read Horrid by Katrina Leno for Jan's book club. I think I gave this 4 stars. I don't know why I wrote in silver gel pen. I cannot read that. This was a really fun horror. YA horror I'm really enjoying, and the mystical aspects, magical realism bits and pieces. So I'm definitely going to pick up more by Katrina Leno. This one is about this girl and her mum who goes back to her mum's hometown because her grandparents have died and they've left the house to her, and it's this haunted house, and she goes to the new school, and there's lots of secrets that come unfolded. And I am not a big fan of open-ended endings, but this one was okay. I enjoyed it. Just now doing some salt. And then I read The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. So this was the start of my reread of Throne of Glass. I usually read Throne of Glass first, but a lot of people need to read Assassin's Blade first, so that's what I'm doing, and I'm enjoying it so far. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars, obviously. I used to hate Sam, and now I love Sam, and he definitely did not deserve what happened to him, and I'm okay to take that back. Okay, now I need to whisk the dry ingredients together. So yeah, like, it was just really fun going back into the Thrown Glass world, and yeah. I listened to The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards. So this was a gift actually from a friend of mine years ago, and she said she really enjoyed it when she read it. And I was a bit like iffy about it because historical, like, it's not really historical fiction, but just like fiction in general was a bit like, I'm a fantasy girl, like I need some fantasy aspects. But this was really interesting because this followed a man. This is just random, this recipe. Anyway, when he laid 2 large eggs. So this is about this man who is, his wife has gone into labor, so they've gone to the doctor's office, to the obstetrician, but the obstetrician is on holiday or whatever, obviously. That's always how it happens. And so because this man is a doctor himself, they ended up just going to his doctor's practice. His like nurse receptionist is there, and so she and him just like deliver his wife's babies, right? So he delivers the son and it's all good, they're all happy, and then they realize that they're actually having twins, and so they start like they deliver the daughter, but then they realize that, well, the dad realizes that the daughter actually has Down syndrome, and back then Down syndrome was not very liked. So instead of telling the wife that they had a daughter with Down syndrome, he's like, she died, and tells the nurse to go take her to this like school that takes like babies like this and raises them. And he, like, the way that he was like trying to tell himself that what he was doing was a good thing, because people with Down syndrome, they have this particular heart condition, and because his sister had this heart condition, like, and she died when she was like a kid, and like he just didn't want to make his wife deal with that and everything. So then it like follows those 2 different storylines. So the husband and the wife with the son, and then the nurse with the daughter. And so the nurse ends up not taking the daughter to that building. She ends up just raising the daughter as her own. She does tell David that that's what she's done. She's like, I didn't get rid of her, I kept her, I'm raising her as my own, just thought I should let you know. And so David like doesn't tell the wife or anything. And then you've got the wife's point of view, and she's got so much like postpartum depression because like her daughter was died, and she's still so happy that her son is healthy and living. Yeah, and it was just the different, like, their stories for the next like 50 years, and I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars. I don't know, something about it, like, I was very surprised. Lots of different, like, an emotional roller coaster this book was. It was very surprising, that's for sure. I then read Scarred by Emily McIntyre, which was a buddy read with Ash over on Instagram. So Scarred is a Lion King retelling focusing on Scar. It's not a retelling, it's more like a reimagining. So it's about these 2 princes. Their dad, the king, has died, and Michael, the guy who's now king, he's a bit of a dickwad. And then you've got Tristan, who is the younger brother, thinks that his older brother may have got their father killed. And yeah, so Tristan is just trying to like figure out what to do with his brother. And then you've got Sarah, right? So Sarah is from a neighboring kingdom, and she's betrothed to Michael, but she's not just betrothed, she's trying to kill Michael because Michael and his dad killed her father, so she's like trying to avenge their family. And yeah, so The romance between Tristan and Sarah was so good. I freaking loved it. And Sarah herself, she was just a badass. And that's what I wanted. Like, I didn't like Hooked because Wendy was so naive and innocent. I just didn't like it. I'm like, you can't be that fucking stupid. But Sarah, she wasn't. She was, because she was like sort of a villain herself. It was just so good. And then the way like her and Tristan, like, 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely a top favorite of 2023 already. I'm just mixing the sugar and the eggs together. I now need to heat the butter and the milk. So 60 grams of butter I need. So yeah, that was 5 out of 5 stars. I'm so glad I read it. Everyone was like no one likes Scarred, so I was really scared, but I enjoyed it and I'm glad I read it. Then for Jan's 24-hour readathon, I read Kami-sama Kiss, Volume 1. I think I gave this one 2 stars. It was a manga that Meredith recommended, and she hates that she recommended it now because I did not like it. It was just very like, that's not 60 grams. It was very juvenile, and then also just the way, so it's about this girl who like caretakes this shrine, and there's one story that I really didn't like, and that's why I got 2 stars, because this like death god like came to the shrine and was like, I need your help. I fell in love with this 8-year-old boy. It's been 10 years. I want you to like make us meet and like fall in love and get married and everything. And I'm like, excuse me? They're like, oh, he was just so pretty when he cried. And so I've waited all these years. And I'm like, that's disgusting. And I tried reading the 2nd volume and I DNF'd it. So don't recommend. I then read The Death God Sacrifice by Jenny Nordbach. This was also 2 stars. Were you 2 stars as well? Yeah, this was 2 stars as well. Just, I don't know. I didn't really care for the characters. I didn't care for the situation. The Death God had a friggin' Scottish accent, which was in the book, and I didn't like it, and it wasn't realistic. And I know it's a fantasy and it's erotica, but I like them to at least like the way they get together like kind of makes sense. It just didn't. I then started back at my job, and I had a lot of training. So while I was training, I listened to Able by Katie Robert. This book, y'all, oh my gosh. So it's a 7 brothers, shit, just some popping butter. So it's a 7 brothers for 7 brides for 7 brothers retelling, and Katie Robert has not finished the series. She said she'll probably never finish the series. She's only brought out 2 books, so I don't know why I started it. But this book was so good, and it's poly, and so it's about this guy. He's come back to take back his family's territory, and he has taken this one dude's wife as his like bride. And he's chosen this particular girl because he grew up with the dude, like they were besties, but he thinks that the dude actually killed his dad and started the rebellion. So he's like, I'm gonna take his wife. And then the dude was like, if she's going with you, then I'm coming with you. So they had this like arranged like throuple marriage thing. Turns out that those 2 love each other, and then the woman was like an bonus, like added bonus, because she pretended to be like super meek and everything, but she wasn't. She was a badass, and she hated that the guy was like treating her like super meek and a princess. And so she was like, that's fine, like you can take me, like whatever. It was just a fun ride, okay? I then listened to The Other Side of Beautiful by Kim Locke. How much milk do I need? 125 mils of milk. So this was really unexpected. I don't know why I thought I wasn't gonna like this book, but Shani liked it. I had a grand old time. So it's about this girl, I can't remember her name, but she, something happened a couple of years ago, and so she hasn't really left her house since. And she's been like going on like new mother groups and like being such a troll. I don't know if I'm supposed to do this yet, but I'm just gonna do it because fuck it. Maybe that was supposed to go on the eggs. Anyway, this is really weird, this recipe. Anyway, so what was I talking about? The Other Side of Beautiful. So The Other Side of Beautiful, yeah. Anyway, so her house burns down, and so she like stays at her ex-husband's house, who is actually living with his new boyfriend, and she overhears them like arguing about her. So she's got really bad anxiety too, and I loved the anxiety wrap in this book. So she just like, to try and like stop her ex-husband and boyfriend from fighting, she buys this like van that's like across the road and goes on a road trip, and she's like just starts going north. She starts going to Darwin from Adelaide, and it was a really fun time. Just the situations that she ran into, and I don't know, I just had a lot of fun. And there's like these like remains in the back of the van, like someone's ashes, and there's this puppy that comes along. It's just a really fun time, and definite 5 stars. I don't know, I don't think it's my favorite of the month, but it was definitely up there. And I really want more people to read this book, and I actually got an e-arc of her next book coming out, so I'm gonna start that soon, The Fancies, because I just really loved Kim Locke's writing. Said to like whisk this until it's triple in volume. What the heck? Anyway, after The Other Side of Beautiful, what does that say? Oh, I finished Amari and the Night, well not Amari and the Great Game, so Amari 2. I think I gave this one 4 stars. That says 5, but thinking about it now, I'm gonna give it a 4. Just wasn't very memorable. I can't really remember what happened. I know a lot of it was like adults not trusting Amari and adults trying to get Amari in trouble, and I know that that's a lot of like middle grades are like, you don't trust the child, and like in real life I probably wouldn't trust the child either. They're spouting off that the leader of the magical world is, oops, there's my first, is evil and wrong and trying to set you up. I think it was a good second book, and I'm definitely keen to finish the series, however long that will take. I listened to Daisy Jones and the Six. This was completely off the whim. I had a 30-day free Audible, and I really wanted to listen to it because everyone says the audiobook is so good, so I listened to the audiobook, and yeah, it was such a good reread. I loved going back into it, and I'm definitely keen for the series to come out on Amazon Prime whenever that happens. I love Daisy Jones. I love her so much. I know she's unpredictable and not the best person, but I love her, and I wish she was a real person, just so I can like Wikipedia her. Listen to Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This was one of the first books I needed to read for Rare, and I had a grand old time. I think I gave this one 4 stars just because I wasn't a big fan of Alex. Like, he's such a dickhead, and some people like that, but I do not. Even after he like talked to Anna, like, no. I definitely preferred Twisted Games, which is the next book in the series that I listened to. And Reese motherfucking Larson, everyone. I love the bodyguard trope. I'm gonna read more of it, and I just love Reese. Oops. So yeah, Twisted Games, which was the second one, is about yeah, Reese and something starting with B. Anyway, I liked both of them. There's a thing about Anna Huang though I've noticed. She's got very bad just parent issues. Like in the first book there was daddy issues and mummy issues, and this next book there's definitely daddy and mummy issues as well. And then even in the first book I was like confused because there was this one twist, and I'm like, does that mean they're related? And then in the second book the exact same twist, just no, differently, but I also thought, does that mean they're related? So I don't know what Miss Huang is doing, but I'm keen to read the next book, Twisted Hate. Everybody loves Twisted Hate because it's Josh and Jules. Bridget, that's her name, Bridget. It says scrape down sides. Let's see, does it taste alright? Not bad. Not good with gum though. I then read To Bleed a Crystal Bloom by Sarah A. Parker. This was another Rare 23 book. So this is a dark romance reimagining of Rapunzel. So good, holy cow. So you've got Orlaith and Rawdon. Now there's a little bit of I don't know, it's not grooming, but he's known her since she was like 2. He rescued her. So it's guard / ward, but like he doesn't want anything to do with her. Like he tries to stay away from her as much as possible, but she's still kind of grown up having a crush on him. And even in this book, like he doesn't want anything to do with her. He's like, no, just stop. I know what you're trying to do and nothing's gonna happen. There was this one scene though, on the balcony, if anyone knows what I'm talking about. I'm now just gonna get like a 1/4 cup and fill each up and see how we go from there. So this, yeah, so Rawdon rescues Orlaith from like, I don't know what sort of an attack it was. Like I was imagining like hyenas. It could not have been hyenas. It could be something completely different. You've got Orlaith who is just trying to like figure out the world. She's really never left her like tower. But she does have some friends, and there's this one side character who's like this like sort of merman sort of dude. I really enjoyed him. And then also there's another character who like trains her. And like Orlaith also, she's a drug abuser. Like she's got these really bad nightmares, so she tries, like she takes these drugs to like stop the nightmares, and then she takes a different drug to come out of that first drug haze when she wakes up in the morning. And it was just, this book was really, I really enjoyed it, and the atmosphere and everything was just so good. I think Rawdon's like a vampire sort of thing, so if you like books about vampires that don't specifically say they're vampires, and definitely this book is for you. This is just going to get my 11th one. I can't believe I didn't have 12 cases, but that just all worked out well in the end, didn't it? So yeah, that's To Bleed a Crystal Bloom. Definitely keen to pick up the special editions at Rare. So good. And plus the author lives on the Gold Coast. Like how cool is that? So that now needs to go in the oven for 22 minutes. How sweet. First of all, I'm just gonna drop it, and that'll pop all the air bubbles. All right, so that's now in the oven for 22 minutes. One last book I need to talk about for January. I did not like this book at all. And there is actually a blog about it, and it's called Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. So this book deals highly, like it talks about DV, like a lot, and sexual assault, and like it's on a page, and it just, I just wasn't a fan. I think I gave this book 2 stars. 2? Yeah, 2 stars. It just wasn't for me. I think I might read the last book in the Hoops series because I'm interested in the guy, because he was talked about in the first book. He was a single dad, and it's like the cousin from, or the best friend. No, it's a cousin from the chick's point of view. Yeah, and one of the teammates from the guy's point of view. And so like this whole book is basically like, I don't know, it's, they meet at this like bar, and she realizes he is her boyfriend's like arch nemesis, but he doesn't realize who she is. She doesn't say anything though, and they have the best like night at the pub. And then she goes home, and the next day she like sees him at a game, and he realizes who she is, and it's just about them pining for each other while the other guy is pretty much like, yeah, assaulting her and making sure she never leaves the house without a guard, and just like just doing really, oh, and plus she's pregnant. So she's like, she had this whole life ahead of her, and she was gonna go do all this awesome stuff, and then she falls pregnant, and she keeps the baby just after they graduate college. And so basically that's why she can't, or she won't leave, because of the baby. And yeah, so that was a really shitty note to land my January wrap up on. But anyway, so we're going to talk about the stats for January after I've already talked about the book. So I read 16 books. That was 6,074 pages. I haven't written a best book here, but I think it's definitely going to be Scarred by Emily McIntyre. Worst book was Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. The buzzword was Life and Death, and so I read Death God's Sacrifice. Magical Readathon prompt, I read The Assassin's Blade. I think that was like start a series. I read from 5 BIPOC authors. My nonfiction of the month was Brave by Rose McGowan, and I owned 8 of those 16 books that I read. So yes, those are my recent reads for January. Hopefully you enjoyed this real random bake with me doodad. We'll show you the finished product, maybe, probably not. It'll be on my Instagram. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos by me. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you next time. Bye.